There has been a significant change in the power dynamics within the Cleveland Browns locker room. You're also missing out on one of the NFL's most intriguing plot lines if you're not paying attention. Unquestionably the best defensive player in the league and the undisputed leader of the Browns' defense, Myles Garrett just threw his full support behind Sanders, sending a clear message to Kevin Stefanski and the coaching staff. You had better not screw this up, because this is now our quarterback. It's not merely a compliment when the team's star player publicly supports a rookie quarterback selected in the 5th round following his first start. It's a statement. A line in the sand, that is. That's Myles Garrett telling the whole team that Shedeur Sanders deserves to stay in this position because he has gained the respect of the locker room. Since the timing and context of these remarks are crucial, let's start with what Myles Garrett actually said. Garrett could have focused solely on his own achievements or the defensive dominance after recording 3 sacks in a dominant defensive performance in which the Browns recorded 10 total sacks against the Raiders. Rather, he decided to use his post-game press conference to give his rookie quarterback kudos, pointing out a throw that most NFL quarterbacks are unable to make. In reference to Shedeur's 50-yard or more completion to Isaiah Bond, Garrett remarked, "There aren't many guys in the league who can make that throw." When you look closely at that statement, you can see how significant it is. Myles Garrett isn't just any old teammate providing cliched assistance. He is the foundation of the entire Browns team, a 3-time first-team All-Pro and a Defensive Player of the Year. People pay attention when he speaks. His judgment counts when he assesses talent. Furthermore, he is not exaggerating for effect or being a good teammate when he claims that Shedeur made a throw that most NFL quarterbacks are incapable of making. Based on years of observing top quarterbacks from the defensive end of the ball, he is providing an unbiased evaluation. Garrett was referring to the 52-yard completion to Isaiah Bond, in which Shedeur had to improvise, extend the play, and then deliver a downfield rocket into a narrow window after protection failed. It was more than just a pitch and catch. That was not a wide-open receiver scheme. That demonstrated unadulterated arm skill, pocket presence, and the self-assurance to let it fly even as the pressure around him collapsed. And Myles Garrett knew right away that what he had just seen was unique, having spent his entire career watching quarterbacks attempt and fail to make plays against him. That throw was met with genuine shock and excitement from the entire Brown sideline. Players were jumping up, celebrating, and looking at one another with expressions that said, "Did you just see what I saw?" It is impossible to fake or manufacture that kind of genuine response from teammates. Professional football players who are aware of the challenges of what they have just seen have valid reactions. The level of skill on display is evident when your quarterback's recent throw leaves your own sideline in disbelief. But that one throw wasn't all there was to it. Shedeur also showed touch and accuracy with a 39-yard pass to Jerry Jeudy. Dylan Sampson scored a touchdown from 66 yards out after he threw him the screen pass. He made plays at all 3 levels of the field during the game, demonstrating that he is not restricted to a single throw or scheme and can attack defenses in a variety of ways. Myles Garrett and other Browns players are thrilled about the potential they see in their rookie quarterback because of that versatility. This story is made even more compelling by Shedeur's journey to this point of support. Many scouts and draft analysts once regarded Shedeur Sanders as a genuine first-round talent. Because of his leadership abilities, NFL-ready skill set, and college performance, some even projected him as a top 10 pick. However, Shedeur's name was not revealed as pick after pick was called on draft day. Even after the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd rounds, Shedeur Sanders has not been found. It was both a relief that he had been drafted and a surprise that he had persevered that long when the Cleveland Browns selected him with the 144th overall pick in the 5th round. Depending on who you asked, there were different explanations for his fall. His arm strength was questioned by some scouts, but it would be difficult. Others questioned whether he could be successful without his father's guidance. There were rumors that the prime equity clause was complicated by his contract demands. Naturally, there was also the typical mistrust that accompanies prominent athletes who get a lot of media coverage. But once Shedeur got to Cleveland, the real hardship began. The depth chart wasn't the only place he was buried. After rookie Dillon Gabriel, Joe Flacco, and Kenny Pickett, he was the fourth-string quarterback. Being demoted to fourth-string status must have been humiliating and upsetting for a quarterback who had been a starting quarterback his entire collegiate career and had guided his teams to victories at Colorado and Jackson State. The majority of players would have pouted, grumbled, or asked to be traded in that circumstance. Shedeur made a different decision. He worked with his head down. Shedeur's first real chance to demonstrate his abilities was during the preseason game against the Panthers, and he made the most of it. He gave a strong performance, making plays and displaying the abilities that had made him a highly anticipated college prospect. However, nothing changed despite that strong performance. He was essentially treated like a developmental project who might never see significant playing time, remaining the fourth quarterback on the depth chart and receiving very few practice reps with the starting lineup. During this process, Shedeur frequently received unfair and personal criticism. He was referred to as entitled, egocentric, and haughty. They claimed that his well-known father was the only reason he was receiving attention. They said he lacked the work ethic and humility needed to be successful in the NFL. Here's what those critics overlooked, though. Shedeur never voiced his displeasure with his circumstances in public. He never threw his coaches under the bus or demanded a trade. He ignored all the clamor and criticism aimed at him, worked with the scout team, prepared like a pro, and showed up every day to wait for his chance. In the Browns' locker room, he gained respect for that strategy, especially from seasoned leaders who know what it takes to be successful in the NFL. They saw how professionally and maturely Shedeur handled a challenging circumstance. Despite not receiving meaningful reps, they witnessed him working hard in practice, and they were impressed by his preparation and demeanor. Shedeur had already won over important teammates with his deeds, rather than his words, by the time he was given the opportunity to start due to Dillon Gabriel's concussion. The most obvious manifestation of that respect is Myles Garrett's public backing, but it's not the only one. You could see teammates genuinely celebrating Shedeur's victories during his first start. Players were swarming him with genuine excitement after big plays instead of merely congratulating him. There was a different, more engaged, and electric vibe on the sidelines. When a locker room has faith in their quarterback and wants to see him succeed, that's what happens. From the standpoint of organizational management and leadership, Kevin Stefanski's current predicament is incredibly intriguing. Dillon Gabriel is still in concussion protocol, and it's unclear when he'll be allowed to play again. Even if Gabriel is given the all-clear medically, Stefanski will still have to make a very tough choice that will impact his time in Cleveland and possibly his future job security. On the one hand, the season began with Dillon Gabriel as the quarterback. Coaching staffs are frequently influenced to stick to their original plan even when circumstances change due to organizational inertia and commitment to past decisions. Stefanski might contend that once Gabriel is well, he should be given his job back. Shedeur's one outstanding game doesn't negate everything that came before it. The position's stability and continuity are important. Shedeur Sanders, on the other hand, recently became the first rookie quarterback in 30 years to win his first start for the Browns. Everyone in the locker room, including the team's best player, publicly endorsed him because of his playmaking skills. He infused the offense with vitality and enthusiasm that had been lacking. The supporters are demanding that he continue to start. He has all the momentum. Above all, he demonstrated that he is capable of playing at this level and winning games, which is what counts most in the end. The statement, "They no longer want Dillon Gabriel as quarterback in the title," may sound dramatic, but it's actually pretty accurate given the players' responses and the excitement surrounding Shedeur's performance. A clear indication of the direction the locker room wants to go can be seen when your defensive leader uses his post-game platform to compliment the rookie quarterback's skills, when teammates genuinely celebrate his plays, and when the entire building feels different with Shedeur under center. Kevin Stefanski finds himself in a very vulnerable situation as a result. He is obviously going against what the locker room wants if he reinstates Dillon Gabriel as the starting after he has recovered from concussion protocol. Myles Garrett and other seasoned leaders who have seen Shedeur's abilities and think he offers them the best chance to succeed. Fans who are eager to see more of the rookie quarterback who just ended a 30-year drought are being let down by him. Additionally, he's taking a chance on a full-fledged quarterback controversy that could ruin the season. However, Stefanski is effectively acknowledging that his prior assessments and depth chart choices were incorrect if he commits to Shedeur as the starting player going forward. He's admitting that the quarterback in fourth place, who wasn't receiving many meaningful reps, was superior to the players in front of him all along. Any coach would find it challenging to acknowledge that, particularly when their decision-making and job security are already under scrutiny. Given that Shedeur and Dillon Gabriel represent entirely different quarterback archetypes and career paths, the comparison between them is intriguing. Gabriel received first-team reps during preseason training camp and was drafted higher. He had every opportunity to become the guy and every organizational advantage. However, it's difficult to avoid wondering what the Browns saw in Gabriel that led them to choose him over Sanders after listening to the tape and seeing the plays Shedeur made in his debut. Gabriel's concussion was clearly not his fault, and it is a serious medical condition that requires proper care and no pressure to return before he is completely recovered. However, from an organizational and team-building standpoint, that injury gave Shedeur a chance to demonstrate his abilities, and he grabbed that moment with all his might. In sports, opportunities can sometimes present themselves in unexpected ways, and how you handle them will determine the course of your career. In response, Shedeur made history and gained the admiration of his coaches and teammates. Another intriguing plot point is presented by the next game against the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers will be a far more formidable opponent than the Raiders because they are a talented team with a potent defense. The argument that Shedeur should be the regular starter will be strengthened if he starts that game and plays well against a strong opponent. Critics will claim that he isn't prepared for the steady grind of an NFL season, and that the Raiders game was an anomaly if he has trouble. In any case, the implications for Cleveland's quarterback situation make that game a must-watch on TV. It's telling that Kevin Stefanski won't commit to starting Shedeur going forward. He praised Shedeur's performance in his post-game remarks, but he was unsure about the future. His deliberate refusal to respond implies that he is attempting to avoid putting himself in a difficult situation and to keep his options open. However, in a locker room, that kind of ambiguity breeds uncertainty, which can be harmful. Players are curious about their quarterback. They want to develop chemistry and trust with a single guy. Nobody benefits from the ambiguous strategy of keeping everyone in suspense. Even though it isn't stated directly, it is obvious from reading between the lines that Myles Garrett is warning Stefanski. Garrett is telling his head coach, "This is special talent. Don't screw this up," by publicly lauding Shedeur's skills and pointing out throws that most NFL quarterbacks are incapable of making. When your best defensive player, team leader, and franchise cornerstone is making the extra effort to support the rookie quarterback, you had better pay attention. It would be organizational malpractice to ignore that message. This situation is made even more significant by the larger context of Brown's past. For decades, this team has been looking for a franchise quarterback. They have tried every possible solution to the position, including trading for established starters, signing veteran free agents, and selecting them highly in the draft. For a long time, nothing has worked. For one of the NFL's oldest and most illustrious teams, the quarterback carousel has been unrelenting and disheartening, a continual source of amusement and annoyance. And now, quite surprisingly, they may have discovered their solution in a fifth-round selection who was only a few weeks ago the backup quarterback. Shedeur Sanders would be one of the greatest draft picks in NFL history if he turns out to be the franchise quarterback his debut indicates he could be. It would support Andrew Berry's assessment of Shedeur's talent and his decision to accept him in spite of the doubts. Additionally, Cleveland's quarterback nightmare would be mercifully ended. All of that potential, however, can only be fulfilled if Shedeur is given the support and opportunity he needs to grow by the organization and coaching staff. This definitional data, they would not just activate it to make them, but they will failing to develop the offense around his strengths, bringing him in and out of the lineup and causing controversy around the quarterback. All of those things would hinder his growth and possibly squander a fantastic opportunity that the Browns have almost unintentionally stumbled upon. Shedeur's continued status as the starter has been strongly supported by the fan base in response to the entire situation. The stability and success of the quarterback are desperately needed by Browns supporters. They have endured decades of disappointment and misplaced optimism. Cleveland cycled through replacement-level players while other teams found franchise quarterbacks. Therefore, they will not accept the coaching staff going back to a former starter just because that was the original plan when they finally see a quarterback who looks like he might be the real deal, someone who can make all the throws, handle the pressure, and win games. Takes urging Shedeur to stay the starter have been all over social media. The quarterback situation has been the main topic of conversation on local Cleveland sports radio. The opinions of national analysts are being voiced. Kevin Stefanski is under tremendous pressure to make the right choice, and that pressure is only increasing. He consistently declines to commit to Shedeur as the starting player. The pressure increases. In actuality, Shedeur Sanders has earned the right to remain in this position by his preparation, performance, and the respect he has earned in the locker room. He has demonstrated his ability to play at this level. He has demonstrated that the pressure and the moment do not overwhelm him. His teammates and coaches are truly thrilled about his potential because of the plays he has made. It would be a disastrous organizational failure that Browns supporters would never forgive to abandon all of that in order to return to Dillon Gabriel. Shedeur has political capital and credibility within the organization thanks to Myles Garrett's support, which money cannot purchase. It matters when the best player on the team, the man who leads the defense and represents the team, publicly supports you. It affects the way coaches view the circumstance. It influences teammates' perceptions of the quarterback competition. It generates momentum that is challenging to undo. It's instructive to compare this to other recent NFL quarterback controversies. When younger players obviously gave them a better chance to win, we've seen teams continue to use veterans, and the results of those choices are nearly always negative. Because to make obvious quarterback changes, only to be fired when the season collapses. The lessons are obvious. Regardless of draft position or preseason depth charts, you ride with a quarterback who can make plays and win games. Thus, we are witnessing in real time one of the NFL's most intriguing quarterback scenarios. The team's best player supports Shedeur Sanders, and he has the talent and the respect of his teammates. Dillon Gabriel's return date is uncertain while he is in concussion protocol. The entire Browns fan base is holding their breath in the hopes that their team will finally, mercifully, select the best quarterback. Kevin Stefanski is facing the most significant decision of his coaching career. What should Kevin Stefanski do, in your opinion, after Dillon Gabriel is exempt from the concussion protocol? In light of his historic debut, should Shedeur continue to be the starter? To what extent does Myles Garrett's public endorsement of Shedeur matter? Do you think the Browns' franchise quarterback has been found at last? I'd like to know what you think about this enormous story, so please share your thoughts in the comments section. You are obviously committed to keeping up with every step of Shedeur's journey and the Browns' quarterback situation if you have read this far. To ensure you never miss an update when we release new content covering this story, make sure you subscribe and enable notifications. If you think that Shedeur, please give this video a thumbs up. This is the most significant quarterback choice Cleveland has had to make in decades. So tell your friends who support the Browns about it. The time of truth is drawing near. The correct response is clear. Hopefully, Kevin Stefanski will make the correct decision. Until the next time, continue to watch, have faith, and return for more amazing content.